There is tremendous power in the words we choose to start our day. Saying, "Blessed be the Lord," is not just a ritual or an automatic expression. It is a conscious decision that reveals where our trust lies and the depth of our relationship with God. It's not about waiting for perfect circumstances to give praise, but about recognizing that even in uncertainty, God remains sovereign and worthy of all honor. Many people associate praise with the moment they receive something, when doors open or plans succeed, but blessing the Lord goes beyond that. It is an act of faith that does not depend on what the eyes see, but on what the heart knows about the unchanging character of God. It is a strong response from someone who chooses to value God's presence above all difficulties, a declaration made by those who have weathered great storms and still keep the flame of gratitude alive. This act of blessing is not a reaction to what we feel, but a posture that reflects who God is in all His glory and faithfulness. You might be going through confusing moments, feel like answers are taking too long, or that the battle is greater than your strength. But even so, you can say with conviction, "Today, I bless the Lord." This is the mark of those who have matured spiritually, who have built an unshakable foundation even in the midst of chaos. In the Bible, we find powerful examples of this attitude. Imagine a man who lost everything, who saw his world collapse, and yet declared that the name of the Lord is worthy to be exalted. He was no ordinary character. He was someone marked by unshakable faith, someone who taught the world to glorify God in every circumstance. Or think of a king who, even surrounded by imperfections, danced before the divine presence, not because everything was perfect, but because the joy of being in communion with God was greater than any problem. Thus, the word bless carries a depth that challenges the mind and touches the soul. Psalm 103 invites us to bless the Lord with all that is within us, not as a suggestion, but as a calling for our emotions, thoughts, and will to align with God's truth. It's a command that the soul gives to itself, an inner declaration that rises above every fleeting feeling. Today, I invite you to understand what it truly means to bless the Lord in every area of your life, in every season. It's the kind of faith that recognizes God's presence even before the answer comes, that chooses gratitude amid conflict, and that remains steady both in times of harvest and abundance. If you believe that God can transform your day, your life, and your story, then let us walk together on this journey of faith and prayer. Let's begin with what I call blessing in the waiting. This is the difficult space between the dream and the fulfillment, the in-between where doubts arise and silence seems to last too long. In these moments, raising our hands in praise is easy when everything is going well. But the real test is to bless when nothing has changed yet, when the doors remain shut and the mind questions the delay. It is precisely in this middle that the decision to bless becomes a powerful weapon. It calms the storm within and reaffirms that, despite the wait, God is still in control. It doesn't mean ignoring the hard reality or pretending everything is fine. It means looking beyond, focusing on divine sovereignty and promises that never fail. The middle is not a place of abandonment. On the contrary, it is where we are shaped, strengthened, and prepared for what is to come. Those who learn to bless in that place do not arrive empty when the promise is fulfilled. They arrive full of faith, strengthened by trials, refined through struggles. Look at the story of a woman who, even without receiving what she longed for, made a vow, surrendered her desire to the Lord, and honored Him with full dedication. This reveals the difference between the simple act of praising and the true blessing, which is an act of surrender and strength, a firm declaration that God is worthy even before the yes. When we choose to bless God along the way, we are doing more than simply recognizing His presence. We are positioning ourselves with spiritual authority, affirming that God's worth is not based on the answers we expect, but on who He is. It's like saying, maybe I don't see everything yet, but I trust the one who sees it all. And that trust begins to push doubt away, weaken fear, and strengthen the spirit. Before we move on to the next step of this journey, do you feel that desire in your heart to learn how to bless the Lord in any circumstance? Shall I continue and show you how this blessing can be proclaimed even in the battles of life? After understanding that blessing the Lord during the waiting season is a choice that strengthens the soul, we must take a step forward and learn to bless Him in the midst of the battle. Because let's be honest, the wait isn't always calm, and the battles we face can feel overwhelming, almost impossible to bear. When we talk about blessing in the battle, we don't mean pretending everything is okay or hiding the pain. On the contrary, it means recognizing the difficulty and still choosing to praise God in the middle of the chaos. This kind of blessing doesn't deny reality, it rises above it, because it is anchored in the certainty that above every storm, God is present, working, and caring, even when we can't see it. It's an invitation to experience peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, but on the faith that puts God first. Like the story of a man who went through a deep family crisis, lost his job, and faced serious health problems. Even so, he chose to praise loudly. His confidence remained firm, and that attitude transformed not only his heart, but the entire atmosphere around him. The peace he found wasn't the absence of problems, it was the unshakable presence of the Lord. That peace, born in the heart of someone who blesses, is the first fruit of true faith in action. It doesn't come like magic, but as the result of daily surrender, a constant decision to glorify the Lord. Blessing in the battle means embracing that peace even when everything feels like a storm. It means declaring that hope is alive, even if the situation doesn't look promising. Another key part of this process is strengthening our mind and spirit. When we raise our voice to bless, our focus shifts from the problem to the solutions that only God can bring. This change in focus is transformative. It shifts our energy, our attitude toward life, and often opens doors that were closed to us. If you've ever been in a moment where it felt like everything was against you, then you know how discouragement tries to take over your heart. Blessing in the middle of the battle is the answer to those moments. It's like saying, Lord, no matter what's happening, I choose to trust in you. That choice, as simple as it seems, carries immense power. It's a sign of living, active faith. But don't think it happens overnight. It's a process. Just like an athlete trains to overcome limits, our faith is exercised every time we choose to bless, even when everything points the other way. Over time, this practice creates such a deep transformation that battles lose their weight and anxiety loses its space. The Bible is full of stories that prove this truth. Think of a young man who faced huge pressures and even persecution for his faith. He could have given up, he had plenty of reasons, but he chose to praise God and trust in His plan. The result? He became an example for generations, an inspiration for those facing their own battles today. We've reached an important point in this journey, the need to strengthen our spiritual community. None of us were made to fight alone. Blessing the Lord with others strengthens everyone's faith. It's in those moments that connections become sources of encouragement and hope, where stories of overcoming connect, creating fertile ground for miracles. So I want to invite you, who are watching right now, to reflect. What has your battle been? In what way can you begin to bless even if the storm seems endless? Share your story or a challenge you're facing in the comments. Your experience may be the light someone needs not to give up. If you're finding strength here, how about leaving a "I believe" in the comments so we can feel that connection? No rush, no pressure, just a sincere word showing that you're walking in faith. Let's make this space a place where hope grows, where encouragement is real, and where prayer becomes life. If you're enjoying this so far and want more content to strengthen your faith and bring words of hope to your day, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. With each new story, with each prayer, our community grows stronger, bringing inspiration to many hearts. You are not alone in this journey. Soon, we'll move on to the final part, where we'll understand how blessing the Lord in times of victory can consolidate everything we've learned and transform our future. But before that, tell me, what part touched you the most so far? What feelings did this message stir in you? Share with us and help this chain of faith grow stronger.